Pryde's Picks is spoiler heavy and full of crude language. I swear like a sailor, and Lockheed's no better. Consider yourself warned. Hi everyone, it's September 25th and I'm here with this week's Pryde's Picks. Now, unlike most weeks, I only have a few Marvel, a few DC, and I have 5 books from Image Comics. So let's just jump right in and see where this goes. First up is Guardians of the Galaxy issue 6. Now, this is the book you want to pick up if you want to see Star-Lord go toe-to-toe with Thanos and Angela go toe-to-toe with Gamora and the rest of the Guardians. Not much happens, but there's a lot of good fighting and kicking each other's shit in, so if you want some action and you want to see the Guardians kicking each other's ass, this is it. I'd say wait for the trade. It's not a buy it now, but if you're reading the books, it's a fun read. Let's move on to Wolverine and the X-Men, issue 36, and this is Battle of the Atom, chapter 5. This book has a lot of everybody going like this. You've got young Jean Grey paired up with the Cuckoos and Emma Frost trying to fight Jean Grey of the future telepathically. And we do find out that Jean Grey of the future is actually the young Jean Grey from now, if she grew into the future, but we find out that the people from the future might be sketchier than we thought. Magic traveled to the future, saw what's up, and came back and she's like, shit's about to get real. So not much happens in this book, but we are on the precipice of something really great. So this is another wait for the trade, but I don't know, I'm not hating Battle of the Atom, but everybody's in agreement that the past X-Men need to get the fuck home. I know that. Okay. Something I get in the comments all the time is, why do you pick up books that you want to piss on? And I would like to tell you that I don't pick up books just to piss on them. Usually. Okay, I pick up books genuinely hoping they're going to be good. And then they upset me and I piss on them. But the A+X books are all books I've picked up because I know I'm going to want to piss on them when I read them. But I'm such an X-Men fan that I can't not read these books even though they're crap. So this one paired Captain America with Jubilee, and they fought, I'm sorry, hold on, underwater vampire Nazis that were in a sunk battleship from the days of Captain America. It's really that bad. And then Beast teams up with his buddy Wonder Man, and they have a guy's night out, and you find out they used to be best buds. What went wrong? They bash each other's morals, and in the end, it's a great big hug. The book was not, I'm not gonna piss on it. It's so ridiculous, it's fun. But it's definitely nowhere near relevant to anything going on in the verse. If you want a fun read, read it on the shelf. Do not buy it, but underwater vampire Nazis was fucking hilarious. Now we're gonna jump into DC Comics, and of course it's still Villains Month, and I have been slowly trucking through this and miserably chewing down each issue. I will do Joker's Daughter, issue 1. And somebody ranted in the below that I actually thought this was Joker's Daughter, issue 1. I just don't want to go down there and say this is Batman, The Dark Knight, 23.4, because that sounds like bullshit. So Joker's Daughter, issue 1, is basically the backstory of Duella. And she seems like she's a pretty perfect girl, and she just liked dark things. Her family loved her very much, and she could cut herself anyway, and she did twisted things, and then she found this underground civilization, and she decided to shake shit up. Piss on it. Let's move to Sinestro, number 1. This book itself just gives you Sinestro's backstory. If you give a shit, awesome. If you don't, piss on it. DC didn't let me down with Justice League 23.4, aka Secret Society number 1. This book gets a little bit into the backstory of who these fucking people are, and you find out the guy with the top hat that's ringleading the whole thing is somebody you least expect. And I was definitely surprised and or vindicated. Those of you that have been watching, you might be able to guess who this guy is. But I love this issue, so for all the piss on it, I'm giving this one a buy it now. Pick it up, read it, you guys will like it. I like to see a little bit of the backstory of the bad guys that are good guys coming to our verse. Next up, we move into Image Comics with Saga, issue 14. This is Brian K. Vaughan's newest love child, and the entire internet's in love with it, and every comic book fan I know. And this book doesn't do much to move the story along. You've got Will and Gwendolyn sort of maybe wanting to hook up. Then you have Marco and the family meeting up with the guy that inspired the book that changed his whole life around. And his mom ends up kind of bonding with the gentleman in a weird way. It's weird. But in the end, you find out somebody has hijacked the Stalk, who is now dead, her ship, and is coming after them, and it's a big surprise. I don't want to ruin it. Well, not much got accomplished. It was still a really fun read, and I feel like if you're reading Saga, you're obviously going to pick issue 14 up. And if you're not reading Saga, definitely wait for the trade. This is a series you don't want to miss. It's as timeless as Y the Last Man, or The Runaways. So, I'd say wait for the trade. Let's move on to Revival, issue 14 as well. And I've talked about this with you guys a million times. It's kind of like a Dean Koontz, Stephen King, dark, twisted book. I read my books Home Alone the other night, and I actually picked this book up and was like, nope, and put it back down and went to bed without reading it, and I read it this morning. I just couldn't read it alone in the house because it's just creepy enough to give me nightmares, and I have crazy nightmares. This book has M going toe-to-toe with the creepy alien ghost-like things in the woods. You find out way more about them. You find out what can hurt them. And you find out that some of the revived are actually kind of looking forward to meeting them. It's twisted, it's weird. The final image makes me so glad I did not read this before bed because it is creepy as fuck. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but if you're at the comic book store and you're not reading Revival, at least pick it up and open that last page and you will know why Pryde didn't want to go to sleep with that image in her head, because it's so creepy. I love this series, and this isn't a buy it now, but definitely wait for the trade. You need to start reading Revival. If you want something dark, twisted, and different, why aren't you reading it? Moving on to Jupiter's Legacy, issue 3. This book starts with these adults, and they go, and they get these powers. And the book's not actually about them. It's about their children, hence the legacy. But the best way to describe what's happened as of issue 3 is to reference The Lion King. You have Mufasa, and you have Nala. And then they have cute little Simba, and then they have evil Scar as the brother, right? So, Mufasa and Nala are like these superheroes, right? And then the evil brother Scar is like, Simba, your daddy doesn't really love you. He ends up getting Simba to bite his own dad's face off and fuck him up. And then he turns the entire Pryde against them. And shit gets real. And Nala ends up being this crack whore with a baby on the way. And looks like she might be the hero of the book. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? This is the Lion King on crack. And everybody has superpowers, and everybody is not good. And it's a lot of fun. It's a different take. It's a different twist. It's not the same shit you feel over and over again. I am really enjoying Jupiter's Legacy. I say pick up issue 3 for sure because it's a fun read. Buy it now. Moving on to a book I never thought I'd enjoy, and I actually did. It's Rat Queen's issue 1. Now, picture a world, a realm with elves and goblins and all sorts of orcs and greatness. And then there's a city. And in this city are like these little bands of, I don't know if you want to call them bandits or maybe just like a little gang. And there's these 4 girls and they call themselves the Rat Queens. And they're like foul-mouthed, sex-driven, drug-addicted, like hilarious little bundles of joy. I feel like if I had a childhood, I would look up to these girls because they're so horrible, but at the same time so likable. That while I was reading the book, I was like, which one of these guys can I cosplay as? Because they're just, everything about this book, the writing made me wish it was, like, I felt like I was reading something Bendis would do, or maybe Joss Whedon. The banter between the characters was really amusing, and something about a cartoon character flipping off another one just makes me very happy. I liked seeing little girls not act like little ladies, and fighting orcs and fucking each other up and then getting their sex on, and it was just fun, all around fun. I feel like this is my dream childhood, being one of the Rat Queens. I love this book. You might not like it, but for me it was a buy now, and I will definitely read the next few issues because I had a good time reading it. It made me smile the entire time. Rat Queens, issue 1, pick it up. We are going to wrap up this week with Image Comics Sex Criminals, issue 1. This book was wrapped and boarded and not available. Well, it's on the shelf, but they tape it to make sure little kids just don't walk by and open it up. And that's because this book is all about sex. And you think, this is going to be great. And in reality, it's this girl, Suzanne, telling a story of her childhood. And apparently, she was bored in the tub one day and masturbated. And when she did, the world got brightly colored and time stood still. For 10 minutes. She ran downstairs, she's yelling at her mom, nobody's answering. So then she's trying to figure this shit out. She starts charting it, she's like, what the fuck's going on? Then she runs up to the girls at school who she thinks are sluts, and she's like, hey sluts, what's up with, like, time stopping every time you orgasm? And they all looked at her like she was fucking crazy. So then there's this cute scene where the big slut of the school pulls her aside and is like, let me teach you all these different sex positions, right? And then she starts naming them. And they're the most ridiculous shit you've ever heard of. People shitting in each other's mouths and, like, these random positions. And she's drawing it in, like, stick figures on the bathroom wall. And it's hilarious. And then it cuts to her at a party. And she meets this guy. And he starts quoting this book she likes. So she's like, meh, I'll throw him some sex. This is, like, later in life. And then after they have sex and they both orgasm, she says something and he answers her. And they're both like, you can do it too? And then the book ends where it starts with them fucking in a bathroom and somebody saying they're coming after them in 3 seconds. And then it's 1, 2, and then they come. So basically, I'm guessing her weird childhood and her weird predicament that she has makes her able to stop time after she fucks. So now she's a secret agent, is what I'm gathering from this. And so the last page is her and him stopping time because somebody's after them. So they drop trout in a bathroom and fuck so they can escape. And it's fucking ridiculous. And at the same time, it's kind of funny. And I'm pretty sure I'll read issue 2 because I want to know if it's as bad as I think it's going to be. But Sex Criminals is definitely a read it on the shelf. Peel off the tape very gently and don't have children around when you read it. I can't say buy it now, but it was bizarre as fuck, and if you want something weird, this is what you need. Other than that, I'm sorry I've been a little slack on my Pryde's picks. I promise I'm going to pick it up. I just had a lot of crap going on in life, and it sucks, and I missed you guys. So I threw out a booty bin instead last week to make up for it, but I will see you all next week, and there are so many good books this week. Get your ass to the comic book shop. And good night, everybody. Mwah.